You are watching ESPN Cricinfo Match Day, brought to you by Maruti Suzuki. It's been another session that's gone the way of the Indian bowlers. 3 more wickets is what the Indian bowlers have got, and they've been evenly divided. Jasprit Bumrah with 3 wickets there, and Jadeja with 2 wickets. It's a wicket apiece for Ishant and Shami. 3 wickets to fall in this particular session as we are talking. 145 for 7 is where Australia find themselves at the moment. With me, Sanjay, Manjrekar, VVS Laxman, also Brad Hodge. Sanjay, I'll start with you. I mean, it's surprising. At one point, all the comments that we were getting were about, oh, this is going to be a dull draw. And now suddenly the maximum comments we're getting is people saying that, oh, when will India...
Yeah, but who was thinking it was going to be a dull draw?
Generally, I mean, all, comments that we were getting on social media, majority of them were of the opinion, oh, it's going to be a draw. Will we even get a second innings? That was the opinion.
No, not with this Australian batting lineup. I don't think, at least I was expecting a dull draw because... They have a weakness in their batting. It's a very fragile batting unit. India also started the series. Their batting was a bit of a question mark, but that has been addressed. Pujara coming back into form. So India is batting pretty well now. And the bowling has been high class. I mean, that session again showed that every time an Indian bowler is operating, he looks like he's going to get a wicket. So this is the first time where India have had 4, if not 3, 4 world-class bowlers playing in a team together. Otherwise, over the years, we've had 4 or 5 world-class batsmen playing together, but 1 or 2 at the most world-class bowlers. This is a team where you have 3, if not 4 world-class bowlers playing together.
Okay, since you talk about the Australian batting and how it's not really the best Australian batting lineup at the moment, let's take a look at the average of the current Australian batting lineup. This is series by series. We're taking a look, and since the Ashes, that is 2017-18 onwards. And if you take a look at that, against England, that was rather good. At 50, the Ashes, you had even 900s there. But after that, it's been completely downhill from 21 to 22 to 25. I'll take this question to Brad. Brad, as we were saying, many were expecting Australia probably to do slightly better after what they saw in Perth. But is this a true reflection of how the Australian batting lineup is at the moment?
Yeah, I think it is actually. And as Sanjay pointed out as well, they're up against a pretty dynamic quartet of bowling that the Indians have brought out here. Plus, they've got good bench depth as well with Umesh Yadav, Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, 2 outstanding bowlers that can't even get a game. So, Ashwin sitting on the side, look, we're always going to be under pressure. It's a vulnerable batting lineup, and it's showing out in the middle.
Okay, you talk about that Indian bowling lineup. As Sanjay mentioned, it's probably, rarely that you find an Indian team with 4 match-winning bowlers.
If you don't mind, can I just quickly ask VVS, because he's involved a lot with, looking at some young talent. Why do you think we are suddenly getting these quality bowlers? Brad made a good point. We're talking about quality bowlers on the field. There are 2 or 3 that are not getting a game. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar is not playing. Ashwin is not playing. Umesh Yadav. Why do you think this has suddenly happened in Indian
I think
cricket?
it's more to do with fitness. The fitness culture in India over the last decade has changed. And to be a fast bowler, and if you see, to be very honest, there are not many skillful spinners in the system. Whereas you'll have a lot more fast bowlers in the Indian domestic circuit who can straight away come and break into the Indian team. And the same set of bowlers, we discussed this before in 2013 and 14 when they went on overseas tours. They were wavered, they were not as disciplined as what they are showing in this year. And that also shows that the amount of fitness they've worked out, they're coming back strong in the 3rd and the 4th spell, which wasn't the case before. And that's why I think the consistency which we saw in Adelaide on a placid wicket on the 5th day where there was not much of help, Bumrah, Ishant and Shami in the 3rd and 4th spell were bowling consistently above 140. So I think the fitness culture has really caught on in India, and that's why a lot more fast bowlers are coming up.
Okay, just to reiterate what we were talking about, the Indian bowling is doing rather well. 4 match-winning bowlers is what India have at their disposal. If we take a look at how the Indian bowlers have performed in this particular calendar year, I'm just going back in the history of Indian cricket. They haven't taken as many wickets as this current generation of bowlers. You got 244 wickets there, and look at that average, which is far better than anything.
Yes, Nikhil, I think the average is significant because wickets can depend on how many matches you've played in a calendar year. But look at the average. That's staggering. The difference between that and the next best. So these are great times, and the batting is looking a little better. So Australia, unfortunately, are seeing a quality bowling lineup and a batting that is starting to look good as well.
Just on that again, if you see the conditions have also been favoring the fast bowlers.
Yeah, I was just going to say, South
if you see this year, South
Australia,
Africa, and then in England.
And if I can add, you also played against a very weak West Indian team also at home.
Yes.
So all of that put together.
Of course. So you also take into consideration the Afghanistan team also, which plays their first test. But having said that, I think the conditions have been in favor of the bowlers. I have not seen consistently on overseas tours.
But this was mostly calendar year of all matches played.
All matches, all test matches
so
played.
So home
in
game, West Indies, Afghanistan, and away to South Africa, England.
Yeah, so in South Africa and in England, I mean the conditions were most suitable for the bowlers than the batsmen. So I think barring the oval test match, and it was not where oval also was a flat wicket.
Correct.
So I think we have to also take that into consideration.
But there's no doubt that this probably has.
Oh, no doubt about that. The quality of this
yeah,
bowling
because
unit is
let's take
unbelievable.
your team when you played. I mean, you had those Fab Four that we keep talking about. But when you look at world-class bowlers, you had maybe a Zaheer Khan.
Yeah.
And
no, they were world-class bowlers as well. You had Zaheer, you had Irfan, you had RP, you had Srishant. But I must confess that we didn't play on so many challenging wickets consistently over a period of 1 year. There have been a lot of flat wickets at the same time we used to get. So that's why you saw also the scores well above 400, 450, even on overseas tours. Whereas if you see the conditions, it was definitely more challenging for the batsmen.
Let me take a different perspective from Brad as someone who must have seen, Indian bowling over the years, also having played against Indian bowlers of the past. What do you make of this current bunch? One of the finest that you've seen for India?
Yeah, Ian Chappell was just talking about that, saying that it is the best touring Indian bowling lineup that he's seen in Australia. Wow. And hence why this was their best opportunity to win in Australian conditions. It's not their best batting lineup, but to complement that, to take a test match series win, you have to take 20 wickets a test match. This bowling unit looks like it can do that on a consistent basis, and that's why they're strong, and that's why Virat knows that he's got a bowling unit that can do that, and he can be positive with his batting unit as well.
It's interesting that Ian Chappell also mentioned that, considering he must have played against many of Indian bowling lineups, having watched so much, commentated on cricket for so long as far as touring Indian teams are concerned, and he feels that this is probably the best Indian bowling lineup that has come to the Australian shores. Okay, we were talking about, should they be follow on? Has India reached a stage where they would be enforcing that? We're getting lots of questions on that. We'll try and take one question on that particular subject. Sanjay Sastri wants to know, he's from San Francisco, will India prefer to bat again or make Aussies follow on?
First of all, more decent language from this Sastri on that question. Much more decent and much
Sastri,
more.
not Shastri.
That's why.
Okay. I'm not getting into that. He never leaves that loose. No, he doesn't. Never leaves a loose delivery whenever he gets a chance.
Very attacking.
Okay, back to the question. Would you like to answer it?
No, I think India will bat. I think it's important for India to at least bat for 2 sessions, and then probably.
That's why the declaration should have come in a little later. Rohit Sharma was out there, not out. They should have given him the license to just go freely, bat with the tail enders. 7,500 runs more, just 6 wickets lost. Jadeja was out. There were 4 wickets left with Rohit Sharma batting on 60. Who knows? You would have got 75, 80, 100 runs quickly for the team. And then you wouldn't be in the situation where, you would think, now they are definitely going to bat again. And then those runs, that 7,500 or more, be a little more difficult to achieve on this pitch. So in that flow, when they were batting well with the opposition on the mat, the third new ball was taken and all that, they should have continued batting for a while.
The other perspective.
You think?
So my perspective was India actually delayed the declaration, and I thought before the third new ball was taken, I thought Rohit Sharma and Rishabh Pant didn't show that intent to score against Nathan Lyon and Aaron Finch. They just got 31 runs in 10 overs, and that allowed India not to get close to 450, 470. So somewhere I felt that the 10 to 15 overs with India would have
bowled. Why do you think 450? 470 is the target.
No, it's more about India bowling yesterday evening 10 to 12 overs. Because
Now
as a
that is
batsman-
another thing that I want to talk about. I think it is overrated, the little time that you get before the end of day's play.
You
The
think it
importance
is?
of it in the whole context of the match. India bowled just 6 overs in that and nothing happened. And generally nothing much happens. The same can happen next morning when the bowlers are fresh.
Yeah,
The
but-
pitch is fresher, more runs on the board. Even batting the next day, I think would have been a lot more
The-
sensible
But
looking at 5 days.
keeping in mind the exhaustion of the batsman. You know, when someone feels for 170 overs, and me being you opened
Yeah,
for
yeah.
some time. As an opener, it's the toughest period. You know, and as an opening pair, you never have a night watch.
But is that such a big factor
Yes.
to punt on
So-
for the
so-
eventual result of the match? Because I'm
Yes.
just imagining, had India batted on next morning as well, 30, 40 minutes and get a 100-run lead, and now you would be looking at 199 runs
Yeah,
to
instead of
avoid the
99.
follow.
Yeah, I mean, no one expected Australia to lose so many wickets in the first session.
As we would,
True.
So you don't even expect that. So the ideal way is to get 2 wickets.
Producer
and-
wants us to move on.
And if Indian fast bowlers would have got both the openers, then the middle order of Australia would have been exposed.
No, I think the other point that he made was that you've nothing to gain at that time. So if you do come in for that 8 overs, the batsman, when you come out with a plan, there isn't any much plan. You're just looking to survive, and that probably is your best chance. Whereas if you start a day, then you're looking, I have to bat through the day, and that mindset might make a difference.
We don't have time, otherwise I would have counted that also.
No, we do. Go ahead. I'll quickly take the graphic if you want.
No, I mean, you saw what happened in the 6 overs that India bowled.
Yeah, in
Nothing
hindsight,
happened. You
in
had
hindsight.
Jadeja bowling 1 over, you had the Seamers bowling 2. So they were not really in top gear. By the time they could get into their rhythm, the day is over. You might as well come next morning, bat for a little while. I thought 440 wasn't a good enough score to declare.
Okay.
On a pitch like this, better off actually putting a lot of runs while you're playing well, maybe 600 runs on the board if possible, and then put pressure on day 3, 4 on the opposition.
Okay, we'll try and take a look at, what India usually tend to do. Do they enforce a follow-on? We've just got back into history and see how many times they've done it in previous time, and it's not very often that the Indian team chooses to enforce the follow-on. If you look at that, this is in England, Australia, South Africa and New Zealand. I'm just looking at SENA countries, and it's 1986, 1990, 2002. This is when they did. You eventually get 2 draws and in India win. Let me talk to you about the question that was put. Now, would you want? I mean, they could have declared. I mean, that's another matter.
Yeah.
But he
now-
answered it, I think.
No, I don't think India will enforce a follow-on. They have to bat. They have to
now.
bat 2 sessions, and then give the opportunity to bowlers to bowl the Australian
You
batsmen.
reckon the same? Give
So,
them
so
some
batting
rest?
2 sessions, that could have been done in the first inning. One of those 2 sessions
Yeah.
could have been done in the first inning. That's all
No,
I'm saying.
that's the point I know. But now that it has happened, what do you reckon? Give the bowlers the rest?
Yeah,
that they
definitely.
deserve?
It's not
Yeah.
a big enough, lead, or just 99 runs is not good enough. And India will come as the batting confidence is high, so I'm sure they'll bat. But I think India missed out on that.
Okay. We are getting more questions now. Plenty of people enjoying your discussion between VVS Laxman and Sanjay Manjrekar. Ram wants to know, would it be better to bat for 1.5 session with an ODI batting order? Rohit, Agarwal, Kohli, Pant, Rahane don't want to bat last and get some rest for the
I
bowlers.
thought you meant Don want to bat last.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
wondering why you would want
Yeah.
Don.
Yeah, I think I'll stick to the same batting order. And I'll stick to the same batting order. Wouldn't like to change the batting order, because what India doesn't want is also lose early wickets, in trying to accelerate from the first over itself.
Yeah.
I think they'll play normal test match cricket, probably for 15-20 overs, and once they see off the new ball, and then they can strategize probably in the last 20 to 30 overs where they can be more aggressive. But Australia has got a good fast bowling lineup. It won't be so easy straight away to come and play the aggressive shot. And also it gives an opportunity for someone like Vihari, who probably will also open at the SCG, to get some time out in the middle. So I think, and there's still a lot of time in this test match, still two days to go in this
That's
test
the
match.
reason I wanted them to bat long.
Okay. We'll
Pass
be
the,
at it.
pass the message of
We'll be,
Sanjay.
we'll be at it till the end of day's play today. Okay, quickly, Brad, if you're still with us and if you're enjoying the conversation,
Let him be the referee and decide, whether India should have batted
quickly, okay,
long.
one word answer. What do you think, Brad?
No, VVS's 281 killed all follow-ons in world cricket.
Yeah. Okay, just coming back to the Indian bowlers, we mentioned how good they are and how good they are performing here at the moment. But just looking at the 2 shots played by the Australian batsmen, Head and Marsh, I mean, let's talk about Marsh there, playing against the spin, something that's ill-advised.
No, he was deceived by Jasprit Bumrah slow ball just before lunch. That was quality fast bowling by Jasprit Bumrah. But yeah, I was disappointed with Travis Head. You know, look, in this innings we've got scores of 19, 20, 21, 22 from 4 of our top order. So you know that's just not good enough.
Yeah, I was talking about Mitch Marsh though.
Test matches.
Oji, there are two Marshes in this test match. And one Marsh is watching this on television at Perth.
I forgot that. Yeah, look, it wasn't an outstanding 9 runs that Mitchell Marsh scored, so it wasn't too memorable.
Yeah. Okay, we've got another question coming in. This is for Brad Hodge from one of the viewers. But I can see plenty of comments. Please keep those comments coming. This one is from YouTube for Brad Hodge. Let's have that question up. This is from Varun Gupta. Does Australian dressing room have enough character to come back from here to save the series? Brad?
Well, no, because the chances of them losing this test match is pretty high. They're going to go 2-1 down, so it's probably improbable that they can come and win the test series. So if they do, it will be an absolute miracle.
Quick word on the shots played by the Australian batsman. What do you do at that moment? You're down and out, but you were also of the opinion if you have someone like a Mitchell Marsh come, he's not going to really dig his heels.
I'm waiting for the test match to finish and watch Mitchell Marsh's performance, and then I've got something to say, but I'm not a big fan of somebody who's neither this nor that. Okay. You know, his batting average is 26, for God's sakes, in test matches, and he's batting at number 6. So how much can you rely on somebody who's played about 25-30 test matches, average of 26?
And but clearly he's not the bowler in the side.
Yes, he's a bowler that the Indian batsman would prefer to face up against when they have a choice between Mitchell Starc and the others, and you know, Mitchell Marsh. Coming back to those 2 wickets, there was Jadeja's, where the ball was full. I think he almost got himself yorked, so you can't say that that was a bad shot. And Bumrah's delivery was just superb, so you can't be too harsh on the batsman.
Okay, we're completely out of time. The players are out for the final session on day 3. But here's a quick look at the leaderboard. We're talking about Fab 4. How have VVS Laxman and Brad Hodge performed? Brad Hodge still in the lead, but now that lead has been narrowed down. 422 for VVS Laxman, 456 for Brad Hodge. We'll be back at the end of day's play at Melbourne. Joining us, VVS Laxman and Sanjay Manjrekar. Brad Hodge will be there. Looking forward to your company at that time. You are watching ESPN Cricinfo Matchday, brought to you by Maruti Suzuki.